You're listening to the Dude What podcast, where we review bad media and have a laugh while enjoying beer with your host, Harry and Tomo. Enjoy the show.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Dude What Podcast. My name's Harry Dowling, and this time I'm joined with my very good friend, Mr Callum Hamby. How the hell you doing, bro?
Pretty good. Filling in. Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
As always, it's nice to have you on the pod, bro.
Yeah. I feel like I'm becoming a regular now.
You are, dude. It's safe to say you are. To the point where, like, I'm not even going to put featuring Hamby in the title for this episode because it's just, it's just another rep, dude.
Yeah. No, I mean, help you guys out whenever
yeah, so you are helping us out this week. Basically, unfortunately, the big bad T-lad himself, he's got some issues going on at home, and for that reason, he is unable to record this pod. And it's a shame because we had a really bad film that we watched and we've got it all planned out, but I think rather than put you through that, man, and make you watch that heap of shit, we're going to do it next week, I think. So,
yeah. It was a bit short notice for me to watch a movie and stuff.
It was like maybe like an hour.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be like, watch this crap, man.
Watch it on times 2 speed.
Yeah. To be fair, you wouldn't have missed much. It actually would have been more interesting. So this episode is going to be a bit different, but we will get to that. First, Hamby, what have you been up to, man? How's your week been?
Yeah, it's been alright. Yeah, bit of mad weekend helping out girlfriends, family and things with various things, people moving houses and things. So yeah, Saturday and Sunday was pretty busy, just like tiring, just like lifting furniture and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I spent Saturday and Sunday doing. Yeah, so it wasn't too bad. I mean, help out where we can. Like they all helped us out when we moved into our place, so we just have to return the favor. Yeah. And then today, my dog's been kind of sick.
So you told me that you've had the day off work. Like, what's up, man?
Oh yeah, so my dog's really, really bad for jumping up at counters. He's like a counter surfer.
Right.
And it's something that we've been trying to work on training, but he's just terrible for it. We have to be really careful with any food or anything that we leave out. And for the most part, we are. But this morning I came downstairs, and I normally keep I don't know if other people do this, but I always keep a strip of paracetamol in my wallet because I'm like,
that's a good idea. I don't, but like,
because I'm like, if I'm middle of the day out and about and I get a headache, I can just pop a couple. Anyway, so I have in my wallet. My dog got to them, and we think he like ate maybe like half of a paracetamol, like 500 milligram tablet. So we had to like take him to the vets and have him checked out, and he's all good, and that was a good 13 hours ago, and I think he seems okay. No ill effects so far, touch wood. But
so yeah, I said I wonder what paracetamol, like what effect that would have on a dog, but apparently it's pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, like to be fair, like you can actually give dogs paracetamol. Like as a painkiller, obviously from a vet's. Obviously, a vet has to like tell you how much to give. But basically, the dose, if you're a human, you can have. Well, I mean, to be fair, you can have. Is it 4 tablets a day or something, or 8 tablets a day of paracetamol?
I mean, I don't know, dude.
So you could have 8 tablets a day that are 500 milligrams each. So you could actually, in theory, have about 4 grams of paracetamol. As in like, and then the probably like I don't know how much would be able to kill you if you're a human. But
I think it's something. It's like you'd need to eat a ridiculous amount for it to.
But for a dog, obviously, because they're smaller, it takes a lot less. And actually, like like I think for dogs, it's like 100 milligrams per kilogram can kill them. So like for Hervey, that would be two tablets could kill him.
Yeah.
So I say he had like half a tablet, and the vet said he's fine. He thinks he's fine. Didn't eat enough to kill him. So We just got to keep an eye.
Good.
I've just been spending the day just chilling with him, keeping an eye on him.
It's weird that actually, because yesterday, I'll get into it when I say about my week, but yesterday we were moving a lot of stuff around, moving a lot of furniture around, and I found like a chewed, like pill packet thing on the floor, and I was like, what the hell's this? What's the dog been chewing? Looked it up, and like it was like one of those ones where it's in the foil, and it's like it's not the one you pop out, it's one that you like tear. And he'd like chewed it and got his teeth into it, and it had gone to powder and stuff. I couldn't quite see what it was, and I was like, Lotra something. I was like, what the hell is the dog eating? Turns out it was actually one of his worming tablets. So the dumbass had just eaten one of his own worming tablets. So like, yeah, fine for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, paracetamol, hell no.
Yeah, no. So I didn't really know either. But yeah, obviously paracetamol, like we have it lying around, in the kitchen drawers and stuff. Yeah. So yeah, keep an eye out if you've got a dog that they don't.
It just makes you think, doesn't it? Like that. What other stuff that is perfectly normal to have lying around could be like a full-on danger.
Yeah. So to be fair, like I think, because I don't know, when you like have a paracetamol tablet, not like the capsules, they taste, and you have it in your mouth a bit too long, they taste kind of gross.
Oh yeah, gross.
Like
gross.
I think that he probably tried to eat it, realized it tasted gross, and then kind of like didn't bother with the rest of it. So I think actually like he was like, "Bleh, that's fucking gross." Like,
yeah.
So he seems fine anyway, and just keep an eye on him for a few more hours tonight, and then by tomorrow he should be fine.
Good. Oh, nice, man.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, that sounds like sort of nice that you've had a day off work, but like stressful having to keep an eye on the dog.
It wasn't too bad, because I was kind of like expecting him to like take a turn for the worse, and he just didn't. He was just spent most of the day just chilling.
Because that wouldn't be the first time that he's sort of had a bit of trouble, would it? I was actually telling a friend at work today about the world's most expensive grass seed.
Oh my god, yeah. So the vet. So just like to say beforehand, the vet that did this, that fixed the issue for us that we're talking about, had said that he'd never seen this before. Like, and he was like, he's quite an experienced vet. So basically, my dog, like, we think so. When he was a proper puppy, he's kind of grown out of it now. He used to love eating grass. Like, he would just like run through like tall grass, just taking mouthfuls of it. Proper weirdo. But and basically, like, he like ate. We think that he like was chewing on grass, and he must have eaten a grass seed. And I think people who have like spaniels or like long-haired dogs often have this problem where their grass seeds get like embedded in their fur. But basically, Hervey kind of like ate this grass seed, and it basically, we think it pierced under his tongue. Ooh. And then like over the space of a week, like travelled down his neck, and it took us ages to figure out what was wrong with him, and he basically got an infection from it as well.
So did he have like a little lump or something?
Yeah, he did.
How did you know anything was up?
Well, so he had like a massive. So he was acting really like ill,
Yeah.
And we took him to the vets initially, and the vets kind of said, they think that they weren't sure if there was something still in there or not, so they gave us some antibiotics, and he didn't get better over the course of a few days. We took him back, and they ended up doing like an ultrasound on his neck. And the vet was like, I think I can see like something in there. Obviously, he didn't know what it was at this point, and he was like, I can operate on it and see what it is. And then he came out like it was the middle of the night. It was the emergency vets near us.
Yeah.
So it was like middle of the night, and because it was an emergency. And he said it was a grass seed, and I mean he was fine. He had a couple weeks with the cone.
He
was good as gold now. He's fine. But that was good. That so it was an insurance job. Like it cost about $1,500, and like we had to pay a couple £100 of that.
Oh, well, that's good, man.
But yeah, that was a for such a young little dog. It cost a lot of money.
Man. Must be Yeah. See, we've only had the one issue with Zephyr, my dog, which was basically just that we've moved house, and the sort of the bottom end of our garden is like a bit of a building site. There's just sort of like, well, it's not a building site. There's not like slabs and stuff, but it's like just bits of rubble in amongst all the grass. And my dog is obsessed with the ball, and I've probably said this on the podcast before, but he likes to run and slide and stuff. And he was running, sliding. We called him in, and we just noticed that like wherever he was walking, he was leaving like a massive puddle of blood footprint. And well, I was actually at work, and Fee had a look and saw that he'd basically stabbed through his entire paw pad, like basically to bone. He was like, "What's up? What's up?"
They don't. Yeah.
So we took him to the vets, and they were like, he needs to stay off it for like 3 weeks with like a little cast thing on. And if that was any other sort of dog, fine. But Zephyr's like a working. Well, he's a working collie, but we don't make him work or anything, but like he just wants to go. So having 3 weeks of trying to keep a high energy collie like chilled out was tough.
Yeah.
But he's all good now. And then actually, to be fair, I've noticed the other day that he sliced the pad that they have like halfway up their arm or their paw or their leg or whatnot. He sliced that, but because it's like not touching the floor or anything, it healed in like a couple of days.
Yeah.
So
that's why we were quite happy that like, because my dog's a Whippet, which like everyone always thinks is like a really high energy breed, but like anybody who owns a Whippet, like they're not.
That's the common like misconception, isn't it? I mean, my sister used to be a dog trainer for a while, and she told me that like greyhounds and Whippets sofa dogs.
Yeah.
Just because you see them running on the track and running fast as anything does not mean that they are like that all the time, like super high energy dogs.
100%. So when he was ill, like, he was fine, to be fair. We kept him like occupied with, like training and treats and stuff. But he didn't need like loads and loads of exercise and things. But now that when he's fit and active, he has an hour long walk a day and lots of exercise. But if you don't walk him, he kind of just has like. Around about like 6-7 o'clock in the evening, if you haven't walked him, he'll just go crazy for like 30 minutes, and then after that he'll just crash. So he'll spend like 30 minutes just running around like a lunatic. Put him out in the garden, he'll run around like a lunatic, and then he'll just crash. Like I know.
I wish Zeph was like that, man. Zeph is literally like, he needs a couple of hours of high octane energy a day. And if he doesn't get it, he's quite like a barker, and he just barks and makes noises.
Yeah.
You can. He does stay chill, but you can see that he's not entirely happy about it, kind of thing. Yeah. But no, that's the reason why we went for a collie. Like we wanted almost like an excuse to like get out and be sort of active ourselves, so that we could go on these massive walks and things.
Yeah. I mean, our dogs have met as well, and they got on like a house on
fire.
They
have. There's a great picture. Maybe I will, if I find that picture, I'll put it up.
Yeah, it's a really good picture
on the Instagram for this episode. Because weirdly, like if you put a picture of a dog on Instagram, it's like likes, So yeah, man. Well, that sounds pretty good, man. I have spent the last few days fixing my bicycle up. So if you're from the UK and you're listening to this, you'll have known that the last couple of days the temperature has like properly dropped. This morning was the first morning where I got out of bed and there was genuine like frost and ice all on the grass and stuff. So I took my motorbike off the road yesterday, and if it goes mild, like sometimes it does, like early December, it's weird, it sort of milds out again. If it goes mild, I'll bring it back on the road. But as I've said before, like ice and bikes and things don't mix, and I like to think I'm a responsible biker, so I'm not gonna risk riding in that. So what I do is I cycle, and I've got a pretty decent bicycle. Unfortunately it was in a hell of a state from the last sort of season of riding it, so it's needed like brakes, tires, tubes, oil, fluid, mineral oil, all sorts of stuff. And I rode it today, and it still needs more going on with it. And I've just had a message from my dad saying like, why don't you take the bus or something? It's like, hell no, I'd rather walk than take a bus. But yeah, so I've just spent literally the weekend. It was the first weekend I've had off, both days off, in about 5 weeks, 6 weeks. So I usually work Saturdays. And yeah, I spent both days just literally sorting my bike. Yesterday afternoon, because we usually record the pod with Tomo on a Sunday afternoon, I just had a message from someone about the podcast. Anyway, we usually record the podcast with Tomo on a Sunday, and we couldn't do that, so I had like a Sunday sort of early afternoon free. So I just decided, hey, I'm going to crack on. And I don't know if you can. I mean, you won't be able to tell, Hamby, but I've brought a sofa in this room now, so I'm now sitting on a sofa. Ooh. I've got a nice carpet, a mat in front of me. I've got a table that this stuff is sitting on. All my music gear is moved. I've set up like a TV and an Xbox just across from me, so I've made it quite a chill little podcast space in here, and also somewhere for Fee to do her work, where like I can basically play Xbox and stuff downstairs. So I spent the day sorting this, rearranged a bit in the house. Of course, that's always fun to like. I just love moving furniture around. I don't know why. I like trying new things, but for some reason, over the last year or so, I've developed like a weird like allergy to dust or something. Like if I touch like thick dust, nose streams, eyes swell, similar to like my mild cat allergy that I have. But yeah, the last couple of days, extreme from all the
it's probably all
dust moving stuff around.
You're allergic to cats, then, yeah?
Cats, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably like your cats and dogs and everything mixed in with it as well.
Yeah. Well, like a weird fact that I'm pretty sure is correct, but might be not correct now, is that people who have cat allergies aren't actually allergic to the fur, which is what they think. Actually, they're allergic to the cat's saliva, which of course is all over their fur, but it's actually the saliva that you're allergic to, not the fur, which is kind of cool, weird fact. But yeah, also it doesn't help that the cat's decided that a new favourite sleeping spot is literally like right there, right next to my arm on the bed. So, but I went and bought a pack of allergy pills today, and I'm feeling great tonight. Them. Yeah, well, I mean, it's so expensive. It's like £4 for like 12 pills. So you can't, but you know. So that's been my week. Hamby, just before we started this call, you showed me a little Christmas present that you bought yourself.
Oh hell yeah! Yeah, I got myself. I've been talking about it to you for weeks actually. So
you spoke about it in the last Harry's half hour. We spoke about.
Yeah. I went out and got one. I got one from Costco. Shout out Costco.
Repping the Costco.
They sold like so I went in there to try and get an advent calendar for my girlfriend, and like Costco, like they were out of any advent calendar apart from 2. So all the chocolate ones they were all out of, but
that's
had
weird.
Yeah,
that's weird.
Man, it's good. I don't know. I mean, Costco's kind of like this normally, but I don't know if it's because last Christmas kind of like essentially got cancelled. I don't know if it's like people are just going a bit all out this year. Anyway, so the only 2 that they had left in was like these gin ones or the beer ones or German beer ones.
Okay, yeah.
So I ended up getting one of the German beer ones, and it was. I mean, I think it was like. I want to say it was like £57, I think.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad at all.
Yeah, and they're full-size cans, and they're like, it's like German Christmas, like a German, it's just an advent calendar, but every day is like a German beer, and they're proper legit German beers, you know, from like actual breweries and things. So I'll look forward to that. I'll probably get up.
To be honest, like I might see if I can, steal a little bit out of savings and get myself one of those because that sounds awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I'll talk offline. If you want, I can get you one and then give it to you before Christmas.
Oh, hook us up with the Costco goodies.
I can. You need a membership to go there. So guess who's got one?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
nice.
good fun. I'm looking forward.
I did actually see it that because I sent you I don't know if you've activated, but I sent you a link for the Beer 52 thing we were chatting about last time.
Oh yeah.
Well, I did that. I bought myself another box of beers. There's only like 8 in this one, but it's like 8 for a $5 with this discount code thing. So
that's pretty good.
I've done that. Yeah. I'm almost at the end of all of my boxes I've been talking about for like 3 weeks. I've got 2 beers left, and they're very strong ones. So yeah, I've enjoyed it massively. The thought of having like a nice beer every night in the advent calendar thing, just the one, sounds great.
Yeah.
So I might see it. But I've seen that they do one. So Beer 52 do a beer advent calendar on their website.
Check that out.
And it's about the same. It's about the same price as I think as the one you've got.
Yeah, so Costco did do one that was a lot more expensive, but I think that must have all sold out, because that was like £80 or something.
I remember you saying like 80 quid. Yeah,
but I think it had a bit more like speciality beers, while this one was all just German beers. But yeah, no, it's good. I don't normally drink like. Well, it's a Monday and I'm drinking a can of beer, but I don't normally drink during the week, really. Like I normally just have a few beers on a Friday or a Saturday. So it'll be.
You'll really get into it, man. Especially if you got it for the whole of next month, because I have really enjoyed. It's almost like powering me through the day. Is the thought that later on I'm going to be sat in a comfy chair and I'm going to have an interesting beer that I can drink and sort of look at and be like, let's just taste it.
Alcoholism is cool, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I actually phoned up. I had to phone up Beer 52 because I sort of played the system a little bit, and I bought a membership and then I cancelled it instantly to get the freebie and for it not to like roll on, because it's like a beer club, and they're from different places around the world. So the box I bought is like a Croatia box. And the next one's like a London one and whatnot, and you have to call to cancel basically. So I phoned him up and I was like, look, I've played it and I don't want to carry on, And he was just like, yeah, no worries, mate. And I actually had quite a nice chat with Reese from Beer 52. So Reese,
shout out,
hook us up, man. Hamby, you're drinking beers. I'm about to drink beer. Let's launch into my favourite segment and drink some beer.
What
are we drinking? Nice one, man. Nice one. So, what are you drinking, bro? Let's have a look at what you're drinking.
This isn't going to be very exciting compared to yours, I don't think. But it is just a San Miguel. Especial.
Classic. Classic. I really love those.
Interestingly, like, everybody thinks it's a Spanish beer. San Miguel is not a Spanish beer. It's actually
where's it
It's
from?
actually a Filipino beer.
It
is. It 100% is. So,
really?
but obviously the Philippines were at one point a Spanish colony. Hence,
yeah.
But yeah, it's a Filipino beer.
Where's it like originally from then?
The Philippines.
Just somewhere.
The Philippines.
Yeah. Where
in the Philippines?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I only know Manila. I don't know any other.
I mean, there's a good chance.
Okay, to be fair, this like most lagers that you buy in this country, it's not actually
made. It's brewed in Kent, is it?
It's made in so it's a Carlsberg brand, but so it's made in Northampton. But San Miguel, like the brand, it's Filipino. I swear by it. I swear by it.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I didn't know that at all. I thought Spanish or Portuguese.
Yeah, everyone always thinks it's Spanish, which it kind of is and isn't, because like the Philippines were at one point a Spanish colony. So yeah.
No, nice, very extremely refreshing. I love those San Miguels.
Yeah, tasty. Nice. It's nice.
I've got a couple of the big I've got 2 of the big San Miguel pint glasses. The chalice style glasses.
It's one of those like lagers that you get in this country that. So I like lagers, but I don't like this might sound a bit snobby. I don't like the cheaper ones. I don't like Carling or Carlsberg and stuff. But I don't mind spending a little bit more and getting like like Stella or a San Miguel. Like they're just a bit nicer.
Yeah, there's different levels of cheap though, isn't there? Because I thought you were about to diss the £2 French lagers.
Oh no, they're pretty good actually.
Those are fantastic.
No, like Carling.
Just to remind everyone of that time where me and you were last together. No, it wasn't actually last together, but it was the last time I went to the pub and we bought a load of those those big, those cheap French lagers, like 10 for, £3 or something. Walked into a pub and Hamby, like, slammed them on the counter. And she was like, the barmaid was sort of like, whoa, that's a hell of a power move right there or something. Thinking we were just going to come into their pub and drink all our own beers.
She saw the funny side of it.
She did, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have got I'll show you, Hamby. It's quite a nice black can. It's a BBNO 05 India Pale Ale. Ooh. West Coast.
West Coast.
It's a 6%. Oh, sorry, East Coast. West Coast. It's a 6%. I've got 2 of these cans left. The other one is an 8.5.
Jesus.
And I was like, I'm not gonna pod with that because I'll be like, hey. But yeah, it's strong. It's supposed to be extremely hoppy. There's like a scale on the back. It's got like hops 100%, juiciness, haziness, and balanced is like pretty much all the way.
Cool can.
It's ice cold. Yeah, it is. It's ice cold. I'm gonna crack this right now because I literally haven't tasted this yet. I'm gonna crack it right now and give you an honest opinion. It's done that thing where it froths like over the can and it's gone everywhere. Wow. Oh, that's delicious. It's strong. It's very hazy. It is hoppy, juicy. It's almost got like a caramelly flavour to it.
Ooh.
That's extremely nice. That is very, very nice. Very rich, but it doesn't taste too strong. It's not too alcoholic, which I'm a bit worried about. The other one will being like an 8.5. Delicious, really delicious. As everyone knows, as I've said on these things, I absolutely love hoppy, like proper hoppy ales and lagers, and yeah, BBNO 05 India Pale Ale, East Coast, baby.
Ooh. Not West.
Are you West Coast or East Coast, Hamby?
Oh, well, to be fair, if we're talking from what we're talking about soon, that actually might be relevant. So,
okay, all right, let's hold off. Okay, so we're doing this remotely. It's pretty easy to tell. That's why we're both not drinking the same beer. I tell you what, the strength of that is kicking in now. Afterwards, actually, it's almost like a whiskey or a brandy. Like I can feel it,
Feel it down your gullet.
Yeah, good. Delicious. So yeah, we're doing this remotely. We're not drinking the same beers. Hamby's enjoying a crisp San Miguel. I've got the 05. Excuse me. It is fizzy. It is fairly fizzy, that one. But yeah, very nice. It's again repping the beer 52. It was like an offer they had on recently. It was on moneysavingexpert.com, and it was like a £70 value box for £20 or something, and it was like 20 beers, 3 snacks, a magazine, and all sorts of stuff for like £20. Absolutely standout value. And they also do a wine 52 as well, which I'm thinking about starting because I am partial to a bit of the vino.
I like my wine. Getting into it more as I get older.
Yeah, red or white? Red or white?
I prefer white wine.
Ugh, what is wrong with you, Hamby?
Oh, I don't know. I like both, but I found more white wines that I like than red.
I am a strong red wine man. I like the Merlots more than the Malbecs. I don't like the sweet. I like the strong.
I don't like the red wines and the beers, to be fair, because you get some beers that are like this that have tannins. I really don't like it. I really don't like that like furry taste that you get in your mouth.
Yeah.
And there's certain, not all red wines have it, but some red wines do, and some beers do as well. And they're just like I hate it. It's one of the worst like textures.
I tell you what, I tell you one of the wines I hate. I hate rosé.
Yeah, it can be a bit.
I hate rosé.
I've had plenty of bottles of rosé.
I've had some nice whites. I've also had a really nice. I think Waitrose do a really nice non-alcoholic white wine, which is delicious. No, it's delicious. It's just fruit juice at that point, fizzy fruit juice, but it's delicious. Anyway, man, let's jump out of that segment right there.
What are we
What
drinking?
are we drinking? Yeah, that was a good one. No Tomo today, which means there are no impossible questions. I did have a very, very brief chat with Hamby about possibly Hamby bringing in a segment. So what does everyone think about this, right? Hamby's on these shows all the time, and I said, mate, in the occasion where you're filling in for Tomo, what about your own sort of segment? And the only thing that came to mind was basically like what about a segment where Hamby talks about something that he hates, and we'll say Hamby's got a ham bone to pick with something. And I thought that was hilarious. So maybe Hamby's ham bone to pick will be coming in the future.
Maybe in the next step, or next step that I'm on, I should say.
This episode, as I said before, we're not going to be talking about a film. I mean, we are going to be talking about films, but we haven't watched a film in particular for this episode. It was very last minute that Mr Callum Hamby has joined me. So I said to Hamby, mate, you've got about 25 minutes before this episode starts. I'm thinking about doing an episode based on the favourites. So I'm calling this the episode of favourites. And let's just list out like your favourites of everything. And let's just have a bit of a discussion, a bit of a chat, because our episodes always seem to be a big chat. And, Hamby, you've got your own fans out there. Your episodes always go down really well. I'm pretty sure there's one 45-year-old man in Japan that listens to you. So,
That's cool.
Yeah. So, it's an episode of favourites. What do you want to start with, man?
Oh, I don't know. So, let's
Should we
start
go
with
like films.
Let's start with albums. I felt like that.
Okay,
I felt like
yeah,
that was one.
albums. Albums and music. Let's go.
Yeah. So, you touched on it earlier when you said, "Am I East Coast or West Coast?" I think my answer for this will firmly say that I'm West Coast. My favourite album, I had to think long and hard about this, but I think it's got to be The Chronic by Dr Dre.
No way! I sort of had a suspicion that you were going to say that.
And I don't know. There's not been many albums that like I've either had physical or like it's been in my car. In every single car that I've owned, I've only got maybe like 3 or 4 physical albums. But yeah, The Chronic by Dr Dre has always been there, and once every like few years, I'll remember that I have The Chronic, and I'll just pop it in and get it playing, and it's such a great album.
I remember when Spotify was, obviously it's been around for a while and it was getting bigger and bigger, but I remember when they didn't have The Chronic, and you were like, "What the hell? They haven't got The Chronic, man!" And that's when you then bought it for your car.
It's such a great album. Yeah, I mean, like, there's like. I mean, it's from memory. It's a pretty long album. Like I've there's some good songs. There's I think it's one of the first albums with Snoop Dogg on it as well. Obviously, he's on like half the tracks on the album.
Ain't Nothing But a G Thing.
Yeah, I got like Fuck with Dre Day, Nothing But G Thing. There's some absolute bangers on that album.
Yeah, there really are.
Yeah, class album. Yeah.
I think so. So is rap your favorite genre?
No,
or is it just
not at all? No, rap is. I don't know. I don't really have. I don't know.
Because I would have to say that I agree. Although I am very partial to if we're talking like East Coast versus West Coast, I'm very partial to East Coast Beastie Boys.
Yeah.
But I'm over on the West Side, baby. It's all about Snoop. It's all about Cypress Hill. I think my favourite album of that, if we're talking like West Coast rap, for me it's Doggy Style. It's 94, baby. It's Doggy Style. I think that just has I don't know. I do love The Chronic also. Like it's a stellar album.
I mean, like I wouldn't say like rap is like my favourite kind of music. I don't really have a favourite kind of music really, but like
it's very tricky.
And the thing is, like I haven't actually I've listened to like the hits, if that makes sense. I've listened to like like Snoop Dogg's best albums, Dr. Dre, Cypress Hill, that kind of stuff. I don't really delve much deeper than that. So as in like just I just haven't, and like so it might be a very basic choice for a hip hop album, but it's one of the all-time greats of West Coast rap, man. Like
it almost set the bar for so much of what came in that genre.
Yeah.
Like, I imagine even if you asked loads of like the rappers and musicians today, like what your favorite album is, they'd say The Chronic. It just so good. I mean, I also love Ice Cube.
Yeah.
From obviously West Coast and all that. I think, and it's going to be so obvious, my favorite album of all time. There's only one. I've got the vinyl painted and turned into a clock on my wall. It's Blood Sugar Sex Magic by the Chili Peas, man. Like,
I had a feeling it'd be that.
I mean, the Chili Peas. Yeah, the Chili Peas get it as being, my favorite band. But like you, being a musician, I love all music. Like, just before we started this podcast, I was watching a live a big band jazz show with the sheet music on the bottom of the screen. I just love music. And actually, it made me think of you, because this guy was playing this hella trumpet solo, and you used to play trumpet.
I did. I haven't played for a long, long time, but yeah.
So back when I was in my band, I was always trying to get Hamby in the band as the trumpet player. Never wanted to join.
Artistic differences, man.
Yeah. It just amazes me how like 3 little valves can produce all that sound.
Yeah,
and stuff. But
yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that although there's obviously like way more like rockier and memorable tracks on later Chili Pepper albums, for me it's the raw, hard funk. It's the snare. It's all about that pop and that like just the sound of the soundscape that album produces. I can listen to that album all the way through. I just love it. It hits so hard and like it brings a smile to my face. I mean, Give It Away is one of the most overplayed Chili Pepper songs ever. But you cannot listen to that and not just smile.
Yeah.
Like, it's just fantastic. It played at work today, and I was fully bouncing in the shop, and we've got like floor-to-ceiling glass windows, and people were like, "What the hell?" But
blasting.
It's gotta be that album. I love it.
Blasting Sir Psycho Sexy. One of my favourite Chili Pepper tracks.
Man. I love that song. It's so good. It's for anyone who hasn't heard Sir Psycho Sexy, it's about 8.5 minutes of, in detail, a guy getting it on with a lady police officer. And it's great. Yeah. It really is good. And the end of the song with that like so good.
Yeah, no.
Just a fantastic album. Like you said, it's so hard to pick. I could probably tell you a favourite album from like loads of different genres, but we'd be here all night because I love music. Even if it's classical music, I love. Music just makes me feel, and any music, apart from this sort of newer wave of pop that I just feel like I'm too old to understand, I love all music.
Yeah. No, I don't listen to as much music as you, but like... it just means that like I like I'm a bit more selective with what I listen to. Like, like you...
I actually threw a track in your playlist maybe yesterday. I think it's by a group that just got recommended to me called Parcels. It's worth a listen, man. I can't remember the name of the track now, but yeah, give it a listen. Cool, really cool harmonies. Bassline very similar to that Daft Punk song with is his name Pharrell?
Get Lucky.
Pharrell. Yeah, it's similar to that, but it's got like just better harmonies. It's more organic sounding. It's really cool. But I listen to music all the time. I'm constantly hunting new albums and new things. I have a playlist which I'm thinking about making fully public. But I have a playlist called The Complete Ultimate Playlist, and it's currently at about 10,000 plus tracks. It's mega, so maybe I'll make it public, and if anyone wants to listen to it, they can. Before we jump off the topic of music, for any of our listeners that listened to the interview I did with 730 on the Triple H podcast, we are going to be having him back really soon because he is about to release his debut album, a whole album of his 730 music, which is pretty cool. He keeps sending me all these new tracks, and I'm giving him little nuggets of wisdom here and there that I think are helping him. So yeah, we're going to have him on soon, and I just say that because I know a lot of his fans now listen to this podcast. Thanks very much, everyone. But yeah, your boy 730 is coming back on soon.
Nice.
So, films, man. Give us some films.
Oh, right. So I don't know if this is a tough one. This is a tough one, and like
Extremely difficult.
I think you might laugh at this as me saying it was a favorite film, but I was
Coyote Ugly.
No. but I was
The Christmas Prince 3 or
Oh
whatever.
god. So me and my girlfriend were talking about this. We're trying to think what movie like do we both collectively like, because I'm kind of like crap with remembering something. And she's right. The movie that we've watched so many times that for me never gets old, it's got to be Superbad.
Superbad.
Absolutely.
That's a proper classic.
It never gets old. It's a class movie. I think. I don't know. I just think I can watch that movie. I don't know, once every like year, whatever. How often I'll watch it whenever it's on TV.
Yeah.
And I'll know what's coming up, and I'll still find it funny. Like I say, I know it's not a masterpiece. It's not Citizen Kane, but it's a great movie.
It pretty much is for that certain generation though. It pretty much is like, it's like it almost was like, you know what I mean by like the sleepover film.
Yeah.
You go to a mate's house, you take Superbad, you watch that film. You know,
yeah.
I know what you mean. So I really like it. It's never been. I was always more of like, if we're talking that sort of film, more of a Pineapple Express kind of man.
Yeah, that's a good movie as well. To be fair.
But there is one moment that makes me laugh, even when I remember it, which is just the bit where they're on the. I think he's bought the vodka with the gold bits in it, and he gets on the bus and he sees the homeless man, and the homeless man just goes, "It's McMuffin." I don't know why, but I've always just found that bit totally hilarious. And then he grabs the drink and it smashes and everything.
It's got so many great bits, and a lot of pretty good actors in it as well. Actually,
definitely,
Jonah Hill, Michael Cera,
So I think I read that film. I think it was written by Seth Rogen and another guy, his like writing partner. But I think it was actually written about things that happened like to Seth Rogen and that.
Yeah. So I'm not sure about that, but it's a good movie. Like I say, maybe more of a guilty pleasure rather than like favorite ever kind of movie, but I don't know. I felt like it.
Well, it is incredibly hard to say what a favorite film is. I mean, I studied film at uni, so I was constantly asked, "What's your favorite film? What's your favorite film?" So you have like a stock answer. But yeah, no, I think that's a great choice, man. Like, comedy is definitely the sort of thing that you can watch. There's more rewatchability to a comedy film than say like a dark crime drama or something. And great choice. I think great like era of comedy as well, of comedy movies.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the actor. Oh, is it like Christopher someone, the guy who plays the McLovin character? Christopher Mintz someone or other.
Yeah.
But yeah, that trio of them, really good. Really good. What's the scene where they go to like that party and it's like, "Hey, you Jimmy's brother? You sing real good. Sing us a song." Yeah, man, a great film.
Yeah. No, it's class, and I'll always like it. It always have a spot.
So, I think, and this has changed a few times because, back in college, I would say The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Because I felt like that was almost like the right academic answer, like considered a classic. I love westerns, I love the soundtrack, I love that sort of thing. But really, it wasn't. It's not my favourite film. And I've thought about it long and hard, and I've got to say that I think my favourite film of all time is Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
It's a great movie.
I absolutely love that late 80s California, like, dude, sort of thing. And I love the fact that, it's everything's based on music. I love films based on music. I love time travel movies. Young Keanu Reeves, young Alex Winters, just so good. And like, it's one of those films as well where like the time travel stuff isn't just nonsense. It genuinely is like a mind bender film because they have thought things through. And like, for example, there's a scene where it's like someone stole the keys to the police station, and like they don't know who's done it. And you realise later in the film that like Ted, who's played by Keanu Reeves, he was the one who stole them, and he set them up for that moment when they need to break in to rescue all of their sort of historical friends. Yeah. And just a genuinely great feel-good film. So there's a trilogy. There's a second one, which I almost feel is better in some respects, because it brings in Death, who's like one of the best characters, deals with heaven and hell, which is probably a bit more interesting for me than time travel, but it just doesn't have the same magic as the first one. And the third one is fantastic, but again, it's set like 30 years later or something. Yeah. It doesn't have the same magic. They released a Blu-ray remaster of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure last year, and I bought it. Of course I did. It's amazing. I can watch that film over and over.
Yeah.
It's the one for me that I can.
No,
watch.
I've seen it. I'd say at least 3 times. I think the first Bill and Ted. Yeah, it's a great movie. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's got everything that I love in a film. So, speaking of and that film sort of knocked my what I was going to say, and what I was going to say was like, it was a toss up between Bill and Ted, Mad Max 2: Road Warrior, and the first Mummy film.
First Mummy film?
Those were...
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Have you seen the
Yeah,
Mummy?
of course I have. Yeah. I don't...
Yeah, so what are you sounding shocked about?
No, it's just... Like, the Mad Max Road Warrior, I can kind of... I don't know, like, that makes more sense to me than the Mummy. Don't get me wrong, the Mummy's a good movie. It's just not what you think of as
it's just a good time.
Yeah.
It's just a good time.
It's just not what you expect somebody to say as being like, yeah, I love that movie. Like, it's just one of those movies.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's got our boy Brendan Fraser in it. It's Indiana Jones with mummies, basically. Really, really good. Yeah. So I mean, we spoke about a trilogy, Bill and Ted being a trilogy. And basically, I think, though, that if we're talking trilogy, my favourite trilogy is not the same as my favourite film. So my favourite trilogy has to be... It's Lord of the Rings. Of course it is.
Yeah, probably. Probably have to agree with that.
Of course it is. Extended Lord of the Rings. Fantastic. And the reason why one of those isn't my favourite movie... It's because I can't really split them up. They've got to be one whole viewing experience to me.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, they're kind of like all one package, aren't they? Really?
Yeah. As I say, all the extendeds. You've got some of the most awesome bits of cinema for me. Like when they look to the east at the the 5th hour of the 3rd day or whatever. And you see Gandalf riding down the hill with the Rohirrim, and the charge of the Rohirrim at the Battle of Pelennor Fields in the 3rd one. Just so good. Theoden's speech where he's like, death, and the violin dude's on fire. Like, awesome. So awesome. So yeah, I think that the Lord of the Rings trilogy gets it. But then I thought, what about mega franchise? Because we live in an age now where like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 films isn't enough. It's got to be like mega franchises. Everything is connected. What about the MCU?
I'm kind of divided on the MCU movies. I think I've spoken to you about it a fair bit. Like I think we spoke about it in the last podcast that I did.
Yeah, we did, because I said I was going to go see Eternals, and I did see Eternals.
I was into the MCU to an extent when it was like Infinity War and Endgame, and we watched all the movies back again. But I kind of just lost interest in it a little bit now, and I'm kind of like it's kind of been like they did it for like years and years and years, and it was building up to something, and the build up was good, like it was a good end to that story, but like now it just seems like
I think we said in the last episode it felt like a natural ending, and now they're carrying on, and like the new things are cool, but like a bit of fatigue is starting to set in.
And that's not necessarily,
especially with that Eternals that I watched the other day at the cinema. It wasn't that great. And it was sort of like, but I only went to see it because I want to see Spider-Man, and like, Spider-Man looks good. So I'm hoping that Spider-Man will sort of bring it back. But if you're talking mega franchises, right, there's really only two. You've got MCU and you've got James Bond. So out of the two, which are you saying?
What do you mean you've only got two? I can think of like loads more off the top of my head.
Oh, films with more than 20 movies?
Okay, 20, okay. If you're talking like that, yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say...
What are you thinking? You're going to say, like, 3 or 4?
I was going to say, like...
Oh, Fast and Furious, man.
Fast and Furious, that's a good point. No, I was going to say, like, Star Wars, something like that. But, no. Not saying that Star Wars is, like, my favourite.
No, Star Wars is a big franchise, But...
Bond movies are a big one.
I mean, what do you prefer, Bond or MCU?
Oh, God. Probably just because the sheer amount of MCU movies, I've probably seen more MCU movies than I have Bond movies. Just because, like, how many MCU movies are there out before Endgame? Like,
a
shit ton,
Don't know.
I think I've probably seen more.
I think I would have to say I would have to say purely because I grew up with those Bond films. It's James Bond for me.
I'd probably agree.
I've got a framed Bond poster in my living room. It's James Bond.
I'd probably agree.
Bond 25 was perfect. You still haven't seen it yet, so we can't.
No, I haven't. I've been slack against the cinema.
It's good, man. You should get back into cinema. We usually spend like £30 to £40 on big IMAX, a big night out at the cinema at the giant screen. But we saw Eternals on a regular screen, and the whole night cost like £12. And actually, like, it's really good. I'm gonna go more often and see like smaller films and things. I think.
TV show.
All right, that's film. TV shows. Go on, man.
Oh, so
I thought this was the hardest category, by the way.
It was hard, but then an immediate answer came.
I know what you're going to say. Okay,
I don't know. An immediate thing came to mind, and I thought, no, it's the best. It's The Simpsons. It's got to be The Simpsons.
Oh, that's not what I thought you were going to say.
It's got to be The Simpsons. Like, I
didn't even think about The Simpsons. Hell yeah.
Fair enough. Like it's not as good as it used to be, but I think like there's at least a solid, arguably like the first like 15, 16 seasons are good.
Yeah.
I don't get me wrong. I've seen some good episodes of the later seasons, but season like 3 to 7 or 8 or 9, like that's like the fucking golden era of the Simpsons.
I think that the newer seasons get a really bad rap, and I actually just want to say, like, I really enjoy the seasons. I don't understand people's nitpicky shit. It's been going on for forever. Come on, they're gonna slack a little bit.
Yeah. So I mean, like this sort of thing. I think it was hard when I sat down and thought about favorite TV show. It was hard, and then I was like, oh, what do I watch? What's the TV show that I've by far watched the most episodes of? And I was like, oh, The Simpsons. Like, and
So I gotta say, I think straight away, I think I agree with you 100%. It is The Simpsons. It's like I watched it every day for years growing up.
Still find it funny.
I binged through all of them last year. See, I thought you were gonna say. I thought I know what he's gonna say straight away. Well, Breaking Bad.
I mean, yeah, it's a good. I mean, Breaking Bad is a great show. Like, it's probably one of the best like dramas like that's been on TV. Up where like Sopranos and The Wire and stuff, but. Yeah, I mean, like, you know, like, I don't know. This is what I was saying. It was a tough decision.
I think though it's tricky. It's tricky because Breaking Bad has fewer but insanely high quality, whereas Simpsons is just an absolute giant.
Yeah.
It squashes everything.
I think. Yeah. So okay. So this, go back to Breaking Bad. Like, Breaking Bad is fantastic because it was, you know, it was one of those TV shows that had movie level writing and levels of production and actors as well, you know, to go with it. So it kind of was at that level. Yeah, you know, Breaking Bad's obviously one of the best shows of all time.
It is.
Yeah.
It's one of the best shows ever. Yeah.
But The Simpsons, I just felt like, I don't know, you can't, when it comes to sort of longevity and, you know, just the sheer number of great episodes, like, there's not many. What's your favourite episode of The Simpsons?
Oh man, like a million episodes come to mind. I just see like flashes of bits from so many episodes. I really love the pilot, you know.
Yeah.
I love the pilot, the Christmas episode where they get Santa's little helper.
From the race course, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love the way those early Simpsons are drawn. They all look so like silly compared to like. That's one thing I will say. To be fair, that I think has deteriorated a little bit is actually the look of the animation. It all looks a little too clean to me right now with shadows and things. I remember the year where they brought shadows into it, and it was like, oh, this is kind of weird. And also, I didn't like the Simpsons movie.
Oh, really? I thought the Simpsons movie was actually surprisingly good when I watched it. Actually, I've seen it a few times actually because it's been on like TV and stuff.
I felt that like it had that movie quality sheen that I didn't really like.
Fair enough. I thought it was better than it probably it could have been. As in like it could.
That's fair.
I thought it could have been crap, and like I actually like it's a pretty good like standalone movie. It's nice that they haven't like made loads of them because it's just like the Simpsons movie, you know. Which is quite nice.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Whether or not they'll make one in the future.
I mean, and they're Disney now, so like, I would sort of expect spin-offs and sequels and things, but it's good that they're keeping it.
Well, they kind of have, didn't they? They did like a thing on Disney Plus, the Maggie thing, didn't they? I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay. So so they have done a series of shorts. They did an Avengers one actually as well. That was pretty crap. Actually, I don't know if you saw that. So it was pretty crap.
So my favorite episode of The Simpsons, and this is one that like. Me and my girlfriend always quote is a fish called Selma. Don't you know that episode?
Okay.
So it's
not from the title.
It's the whole episode is about Troy McClure, and it's basically like Troy McClure. It delves into the start of the episode is like delves into Troy McClure's like private life and how like the media like want to like out him for basically like being attracted to fish. And to get around this, he basically marries Selma, as like a sort of like sham marriage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But obviously, secretly, he's like really into fish, and basically like that. And Jeff Goldblum's in this episode. Jeff Goldblum plays Troy McClure's agent, and basically because he marries Selma in this like really like lovely marriage. Yeah. He gets a part in the Planet of the Apes musical, and it's got like I remember that. And it's got one of the best like songs from like a Simpsons episode. Oh, so funny. Like it's yeah, God. I mean, if anybody's not watched that episode, just watch it. It's one of my favorite episodes of TV.
Can you remember what season it's from?
I want to say season 7, but I'm not 100%. The episode's called A Fish Called Selma.
I'll have to check that out because I didn't think of Simpsons at all when we were doing this, but I actually was watching a couple episodes the other night because I see that they've added I don't know if it's the latest season, but they've just added another season onto Disney Plus. So yeah, I've been watching a bit of that and really enjoying it. Yeah, Simpsons.
And the other great episode. I don't know if you've seen. Have you seen the 22 short stories? It's the one that's like based on like Pulp Fiction.
Maybe.
And it's like it's like Pulp Fiction basically. There's like 3 different storylines all going on at the same time. And
Okay.
It's obviously taking the mick out of lots of scenes from like Pulp Fiction and stuff. And that's another really, really great episode.
I'll have to. I think I may do like a mega marathon and start it again. Season.
We did it during like the first COVID lockdown. Like we got Disney Plus and we binged The Simpsons.
See, it's kind of weird. It's kind of tricky for mine because Fee likes The Simpsons, but weirdly, growing up in her household, she wasn't allowed to watch like cartoons.
Really?
Like the family did, like kids cartoons, but not like that. For some reason, they didn't count The Simpsons as being like a kids cartoon because it was on at like 6 p.m. or something.
It's a bit more adult, I guess.
So,
a bit more, not like crazy
like
adult,
so her family wouldn't let her watch it, so she never really watched it. So she's just not. She'll watch one, but she's like not that interested. We just watched the episode where one of the later ones where Mr. Burns does like an undercover boss situation.
Oh yeah, I know that episode.
Gets inside a massive robot kind of thing. Like it was a funny app. But yeah, I'm thinking about maybe starting from the beginning.
Yeah.
And doing that again.
Your TV show.
This was really hard for me. All the other ones I wrote down straight away. But this one I genuinely had to think, and I had to speak to Fee and be like, what TV shows do I like? I can't remember. Breaking Bad, obviously, loved it. Only ever seen it the once. Waiting for it to completely go out of my mind before I watched it again. Haven't seen El Camino.
Oh.
Haven't watched any of Better Call Saul. So I don't know any of that stuff. So I'm waiting to do that whole... I can't think of the creator's name now, but that whole universe of stuff that I'm going to be watching. So I thought, okay, what show did I watch when I was younger, and what do I feel influenced me and to what I like now? And I think that one of my favorite, like I agree with you, I think Simpsons wins this round. But Lost.
Okay.
So I watched Lost when it came out. In this country, the first season aired on Channel 4 back in like 2003 or something. And it was one of those ones where you had to watch it every week, and me, my mom and my sister watched it, and we were just gripped, from the first episode, gripped. And then I stuck with it because, to be fair, it got more and more difficult to watch. More twists, more turns, things that like would throw a casual viewer out. They'd be like, right, I'm not watching this anymore. And I think most people did stop watching Lost. But I loved the cast. Dom Monaghan, Evangeline Lilly, someone Shepard. I think he was the Matthew Fox played Jack Shepard in it. Like, I stuck with it to the end, and yeah, it's fantastic up until the final episode. Basically, the final episode, it's like they didn't know how to wrap it up, and they just sort of went, this happened, and it's like it's not satisfying. But up to that point, really good. And I recently watched it all again earlier this year, and it's great, except for the fact that it's one of these early 2000 shows, so you're talking like 22 episodes in a season. Each episode's like an hour long.
God, yeah.
So it's like, it's got some meat to it. And it does a similar thing that The Walking Dead would copy, which is basically like you'll have episodes based on characters. So you'll have a whole episode based on a character, and sometimes it's not that great because it's based on a character that you don't care about. But great twists and turns. Really would recommend Lost to anyone. The only problem now is it's a little bit dated. It's like watching Twin Peaks now. It's fantastic, but it's a little bit dated. The only other thing I could think of was, I watched this at the same time as Breaking Bad, is Sons of Anarchy. I don't know if you ever saw Sons of Anarchy.
Watched the first season, and then I kind of just never really got into it. Like, I enjoyed it, but I just couldn't get into it after that.
Like, obviously I'm into that biker thing, right? But I think the thing what makes that show amazing is you've got a fantastic cast of all supporting characters. Every single character is great. There's not one character where you're like, oh, that's a filler character, And like, all of the characters are in all of the episodes. and there's something like 7 or 8 seasons. Just really good. Would highly recommend Sons of Anarchy to anyone. Fantastic intro song that our good friend Mr Grizzly Adam Homer would blast out the theme song to this at nights out and stuff. Like, really, really good. Yeah, amazing cast, amazing actors. You got Ron Perlman, Charlie Hunnam, Kim Coates, so many really cool actors. And if you are into like the bikery thing, you know, it works as well. There was a spin-off. It's currently on BBC at the moment. It's called I can't remember now. But it's called Mayans, and it's based on the other sort of rival biker gang. But yeah, really great story. And the great thing about Sons of Anarchy, much like Breaking Bad, is it just starts perfectly and ends perfectly, and it wraps itself up, and you sort of like, right, I'm glad that that's done. You know, there's nothing else to do with that. I'm glad that that's done. So yeah, Sons of Anarchy. Riding through this world. So good. So, before we jump into the world of video games, what about books?
Ooh.
What about books, man? Go books.
Okay. Yeah, so I had to think about this, because so most of the books that I read are like non-fiction, just because that's just kind of what I'm into. So they're not stories. I like to read lots of like non-fiction, basically. So I was trying to think like what fiction thing that I've read, just because I thought that would be more interesting to talk about.
Give us an example of non-fiction.
Oh, so like I've read like, what was it recently? It was I read the book Edward. I can't remember what it's called. Edward Snowden book. The you know Edward Snowden. The whistleblower. Yeah. So I read his book recently, which is really, really interesting, and I can't for the life of me think on the spot what it's called, but I read it a few months ago.
Okay.
But things like that. So in terms of fiction, I've said Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's kind of like
not from the title.
People always think of it alongside like 1984 and all the Orwell books,
right?
Because it's kind of like of the similar style, basically, and stuff.
Yeah.
So there's actually recently been a TV adaptation of it that came out on Sky Atlantic, which was okay, not fantastic, but the book I read a few years ago, and it's kind of like a dystopian future where the masses are kind of like kept under control by like drugs, basically, and they're encouraged to like go about and have sex with as many people as possible, and like basically like that's how like the population is controlled. It's like, oh, you're happy because you know you're taking these drugs and you're having sex with all these people and all this kind of thing. And the story is basically this. The story is that this character called John, who is basically what's called a savage. So he's been brought up like outside of this whole system, and he gets brought in, and he has a mother, and nobody in this society has a mother because basically like babies are generated sort of like mass produced essentially.
Okay, yeah.
And so it's the character John's like John coming to terms with like how this world is, and how people are just after like instant gratification and all this kind of thing. It's a really, really cool novel.
It sounds good.
Yeah,
I've literally never heard of it.
Have you read 1984? It's very okay. So it's very similar to that, like in a lot of ways. It's a great movie. I said there was a TV adaptation like a few years, maybe like a couple of years ago, I think, on Sky Atlantic.
Not worth checking out.
It didn't get great reviews, and it does a lot of things different from the book. It was so. It got some things good, some things bad. I don't think it got great reviews, to be honest. But yeah, the book you could probably pick it up from a charity shop for for
yeah,
for like
maybe
50p,
maybe I will. It sounds
Yeah.
it sounds
Yeah, I
interesting.
read it when I was actually like traveling abroad in Australia. 'Cause it was one of these. I brought like a load of books with me to read on like trains. And
holiday
things.
book,
And,
yeah.
so it was a good book.
Nice. So mine is going to sound proper simple compared to that, I think. I wrote down a couple. Obviously, I The Hobbit. I love The Hobbit. I love Lord of the Rings. I probably love The Hobbit more as a physical book to read than The Lord of the Rings, even though I love the story of Lord of the Rings more. But I think I'm not going to give mine to one book in particular. I'm going to give mine to a series because I've read maybe like 15 or 16 out of the series, which is the Jack Reacher series.
Oh, okay.
So they made a couple of movies with Tom Cruise based on like a few books later in the series. But I just love the character, like sort of a drifter, walks from town to town, or gets the Greyhound, gets the bus from town to town, buys new clothes every time his old clothes get scrappy, constantly walking into like shit and having to become the hero basically. But I think that Lee Child, who's the author, he does this thing where he describes like the weapons and the hits in so much detail, like hyper detail, that I really love. Like it'll say, Reacher picked up it. Some of the books are written from a first person, some of the books are written from like third person and whatnot. But like if it'll say like Reacher picks up his gun, and then there'll be like a brief paragraph or something about like why that model of that gun is better than any of the other ones that manufacturer has put out and stuff. And it's just like, I don't know, I got hooked on the character. And like I think the first one's called The Killing Floor, and the second one's a bit shit, but then after that it just gets really good. And like I said, he's just the ultimate like badass. I think in the books, so if I say Jack Reacher, a lot of people think of Tom Cruise. He's not Tom Cruise in the books. In the books, he's like just under 7 foot or something, dirty blonde, and he's just built like such an absolute unit that people don't want to fuck with him. And when people do fuck with him, he will just destroy like 11 people, like it's absolutely nothing. Like brought up in places all around the world, military bases all around the world, military policeman his whole life. And it's basically like he's moved back to the US and he's never been to America before. So he's just travelling the States, getting involved in shit. And the only downside to those books is that the author, Lee Child, brings out about 3 a year. So it's got to the point where it's like, there's too many, man. There's constantly, every time you go in a bookshop, there's the new Jack Reacher thriller. And I feel sorry for anyone who buys them physically and maybe has a little bit of OCD or like me about movies, about these books, and has to buy every single one, because you'd have a bookshelf full of them at this point. But yeah, like I think it's, as I say, aside from The Hobbit, I think that Jack Reacher, like the Jack Reacher series, gets
Yeah. I haven't read Jack Reacher, any of the Jack Reacher books. I've read The Hobbit when I was younger.
Yeah.
But yeah, not Jack Reacher.
Worth a check. So literally start at the beginning. Start with The Killing Floor. It's one of my favourite ones actually.
Yeah.
Like, and to be fair, the one that the first movie is based off is actually very good as well. About like a rogue sniper kind of thing. But yeah, Reacher is someone's always getting in trouble, and someone's always going, "Get me Jack Reacher," and that's how the start of like all of these books start basically. But yeah, Jack Reacher. Mate, the last category I've got on the list is video games. Ooh. Now, I had to sort of split this up, so I thought video game story, and then maybe franchise. But let me know what you're thinking.
Oh god, okay, that kind of complicates things.
Okay, I didn't mean to. Go ahead with what you're going to say.
Yeah. So
give us your favourite then. If you have a straight up favourite,
I had to preempt what you were going to say, and I think I know what you're going to say. So I kind of picked something that wasn't that. So And it is a great game. This is one of my all-time favourite games. And it was close. It was in the same franchise, actually. So, my favourite game from when I was growing up, it's got to be Oblivion.
Wow. Wow.
And that was a tough one because I enjoyed Skyrim. I never played Morrowind, to be fair. But
I keep having people tell me that Morrowind, man.
Yeah,
Morrowind is where it's at. Never played it.
I've always loved the Elder Scrolls games. The two that I've played, Oblivion in particular, because I think it was like one of the first few games that I got on 360, and it was one of the first games that just properly captivated me. Like, as in, like I would be playing it at like 2 or 3 in the morning. Kind of game. And it wasn't even particularly a social game, obviously, because it wasn't multiplayer. And you kind of didn't want to be in a party when you were playing it because it was just so engrossing.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but it's such a great game.
I struggle to be in a party when I'm playing anything single player.
And in terms of story, the storyline is better than Skyrim in Oblivion. It's got a way cooler storyline with all like the gates and the Deirdre and all that kind of stuff. Like Skyrim, just I don't know. Although I like Skyrim and it's a great game, I felt like the main story quest was kind of like the least interesting part about that game.
100% agree with that.
Great game, but like the main storyline in Oblivion was miles better in my opinion. It was actually memorable. In Skyrim, it's just like you're Dragonborn and there's this war going on and you just pick a side. That's it.
Just pick a side. Yeah. There was also wasn't there also some fantastic voice talent? I swear, what's his name now from Professor X? And he was in Star Trek.
Maybe.
What's his name now? Oh, I cannot think of the guy. He's Picard in Star Trek.
Yeah, I can't think of his name.
Patrick Stewart. He was in Oblivion.
I feel like I should know that.
Yep. Was Sean Bean in Oblivion as well?
I don't know. Man.
There was a lot of good voice talent. For some reason, one name that's constantly in my mind, whereas I could be remembering genuinely useful things, but I will always remember the name of the guy who runs the arena in Oblivion. He is an orc, and his name is Agnarak Gromalag, and I cannot get that name out of my mind.
Yeah.
Great choice. Oblivion's a fantastic game. I loved it. It pulled me into the world of Elder Scrolls.
Can't wait.
I just wish it wasn't. Like, I would play it now if it just wasn't so sort of jank playing those old games.
Like I think, and this is kind of the problem that I've got with a lot of games that are getting remastered and like released, like the GTA series and stuff.
Yeah,
is that I think that for me, the reason why I'm not so ready to play them again is because I think it'll spoil my what I think of it.
Definitely.
Definitely. I've played games like Red Dead Redemption and Grand Theft Auto's new ones that look miles better than any of those games, and you just get used to how like modern games run, like modern game mechanics. I think we've spoken about it before about how dated like the original Assassin's Creed feels, like when it comes to like the
100%.
missions and stuff, or like the original Halo. You're like these this was fun when I played it first time, but like I'm playing it again, I'm like, it's not that fun.
Yeah. It's definitely obvious when you go back and you play like PS1 games.
100%.
And you're like, oh my god, like, I didn't use the analogs, like, what's going on? Like,
100%. Yeah, how about you?
Okay, so, I broke mine down a little bit. So I guess you thought I was going to say Skyrim.
No, actually.
Oh, okay. What did you think I was going to say?
Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, it's Red Dead Redemption.
Which is like, honestly, like if there was a close one, because like I would have picked that, but I had a feeling you were going to pick it, so I was just like, I'll pick something else.
I love westerns. The soundtrack was amazing. The voice talent is absolutely amazing. The storyline is just phenomenal. For one game, this is why I sort of broke it up a little bit. The storyline for one standalone game, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Just, for me, Red Dead Redemption 1 is like the pinnacle of cinematic storytelling in a video game. The ending, amazing. The world, amazing. The amount of fun I had with the multiplayer, with everyone, and we were trying to ride off that cliff and bounce off the amount of fun I had was just, it was just so good. And I felt that Red Dead 2, although a fantastic game, didn't beat that for me. Like, it was very nostalgic. Like, it's at some point Red Dead 2 like sends you back to sort of Red Dead 1.
Yeah.
But I even love the extremely janky controls. When you're trying to climb up something, you tap left and John Marston like walks off a building or something. And the ragdoll physics, as you're getting bitten by a fucking, or hit by a boar or something, just Red Dead 1, I think it came out in like 2011 or 2010. And I remember I bought that game when I was with my dad, and I asked my dad to like get it for me. And I then went to go see my dad, and I didn't have a games console at his house, so I had to go the whole like weekend basically just staring at this case, waiting until I could go home and put this disc in. So like, I also had there was the map, and it had this cool picture of Bonnie McFarlane on the back of it, and it was on my wall for years. Just an amazing game. Skyrim definitely got is an honourable mention.
Yeah.
As you say, the main storyline was crap. The first time I ever played Skyrim, I blitzed the main story and was like, this is crap. Put it down. Didn't play it then until I then went through and played all of the side quests. That's where it's at with Skyrim. And is all of the side quests, all of the expansions. I love the world. I love the world of Skyrim.
Yeah. I think actually the side quests of Skyrim are better than Oblivion, in my opinion. And there's definitely more. You can play Skyrim for longer, definitely. But yeah, it was a tough one.
100%.
It was a tough one. I love both games, and I say, and like.
So I then also thought of a franchise, right? And I have to say though that my favourite franchising game, because I can't pick a single game from this franchise, it's got to be the Assassin's Creed franchise.
Yeah.
Now, I know that these games have, if you said you go to a young person today and go Assassin's Creed, they'll think of the new ones. I'm not thinking of those. The new ones are sort of crap, in my opinion. Where it's at is the original ones. AC 1, 2, the Ezio trilogy, up to like Unity, up to like there, basically. All of those games. I mean, my mom bought them me every year for Christmas. I just love the story. I love the world, and how every single one of those games builds to a bigger picture. I even read some of the books of Assassin's Creed, which just made the games better. I've played Assassin's Creed 1 about 10 times. I love those games, but I don't think I could say...
It's such an infuriating
game. Yeah, because for years, man, I used to play every single one of them every year. Now there's just too many of them for me to do that. But AC1 is rinse and repeat 9 times in a row. You've got to do the exact same thing. But I don't think I could choose just one of those games when Red Dead Redemption is sat right there.
I think out of the Assassin's Creed, because I think I've probably played up until 3 or maybe Unity. And I think I've played up until about that point, because I lost interest after a while. But my favorite one was 2. Assassin's Creed 2 was a great game. Yeah. Really, really good. It had everything that was good about the first, but it actually had, in my opinion, it made like the missions way more exciting. Because that's the thing with Assassin's Creed 1. The story was great, but the missions were shit. Really boring. The thing also was one of the sort of the slogans for Assassin's Creed was like, history is your playground.
And being like big into history, I loved the fact that they kept setting it in the past and setting it based around historical, historical periods of time. So I've played every single one of the games. I've got every single one of the games. And from Origins onwards, they got confused. They've somehow, for some reason, think that Assassin's Creed is now an RPG hack and slash Souls-like game, instead of being like stealth, assassinating people. But even though the gameplay has gotten worse, the story is still there. The story's still there, and the settings are still there. The newest one, Valhalla, is a really good game. It actually is a really, really good game. But it's almost like it shouldn't be called Assassin's Creed. It should just be called, Valhalla, like its own Viking game. Gameplay's amazing, story and everything's amazing, and the assassins are in it, which is cool. But you just never play as an assassin anymore. And the one before that, Odyssey, set during the Peloponnesian War. I'm a big Greek mythology fan, and that game was like it was made for me. But individual games. It's got to be Red Dead.
Yeah,
Red Dead
that's a fair choice. It probably would have been mine. I say it's close.
I just had so much fun with the multiplayer and stuff. Like, we've tried to play the multiplayer of 2, and although it's fun, it's just not the same. It just doesn't. You can't play it for like hours on end like you could the original one.
Yeah, definitely.
And I love the way that they've gone into hyper detail with Red Dead 2, but it sort of works against it in a way. Like, I've tried to replay that game, and like, there's so much that I sort of have to just put the game down and be like, I don't know if I can commit to that.
Yeah.
Like, you have to cock every shot before you can shoot it. That kind of detail.
Yeah.
Mate, I think. I mean, unless you've got any other categories. Those are all the ones I got.
No, I think down. I mean, I could talk hours about video games. So that was kind of. I definitely think you covered a few games there that like I really really like. Like Red Dead, Oblivion, even the Assassin's Creed series. I think you get a good mix.
I was just trying to think of games like 360 era games, basically that really like. Back in the day where you rush home from school, you turn your 360 on and you're on it until 1 a.m, and then you go to school and then you repeat it. Like, maybe I should put Gears 2 in there, because I had a fantastic time on Gears 2 as well.
Do you remember when that game came out? So I'm going off track. When that game came out,
no, go for it.
And I remember everybody wanted to play the multiplayer, but the multiplayer did not work for like. Do you remember? I remember like nobody could get into a game when it came out for like a few weeks, basically, you could. It just took ages, and it was like
I somewhat remember.
Obviously,
that was a long time ago.
People played the single player, but sometimes you want to like jump into the multiplayer. Anyway, sorry, I got off track.
So I was talking to someone the other day, and I was saying about how back in the sort of modern warfare era of Call of Duty, when you'd put the game on and they knew that nobody was playing the campaigns, people were just playing the singles, and it would pop up with a warning saying like, you haven't played the campaign, like maybe you should play the campaign, and people were like, nah. like it's like even Tomo. I was talking to Tomo the other day, he still hasn't even started the Vanguard campaign. And it's like, I'm at the point now where I'm almost sort of cooling down from Vanguard. Like, I've got my game up, I've got all my 1,000 points back. I'm just at this point waiting for the new battle pass and for the new Warzone map. But I'm cooling down. Tomo hasn't even fired up the single player yet, which is madness.
He's not a single player kind of guy.
He isn't. But I mean, I've been seeing what he's playing, and he's back on Modern Warfare. Like, he's back on Rebirth. Like, mate, I think that's pretty much everything I have written down. We've blasted through our favourite films, TV shows, games, books, and albums. There's been a lot of really great stuff that we've spoken about. Maybe I will maybe what I'll do is I'll make like a Spotify playlist for the podcast, and then we can like put tracks in there, because there's some tracks and things we've spoken about that I think other people would like to listen to. But yeah, we've pretty much covered it all, man. I say, unless there's like anything else that's your favourite that you want to suddenly, talk about on this episode of favourites.
Man, I think that's covered it. It's been a long one, so I think
it has. We've broken a record here. This is the longest ever episode of Do What Podcast. Coming in at, well, I mean, looking at the recorded now, maybe with a little bit of editing, a bit under, but we're looking at like an hour and a half.
That's a long one.
Yeah, which is good going. But mate, I've had a fantastic time chatting with you about our favourite things, and I'm hoping that you've also enjoyed your,
of course,
being on the
pod. Of course. I really enjoy it every time, and I like talking about this kind of stuff. It's I could talk for hours about this kind of stuff.
Mate, same. I think it's the thing with both of us is we are very passionate about what we like. And it's easy to talk about something for ages when you're super passionate about it, it's just sort of easy to like go off on them, basically. But hopefully everyone at home has listened, and hopefully everyone's interested. How about you send me an email with your favorite anything that we've spoken about? dudewhatpodcast@gmail.com. Hit us up there. You can find us at Dude What Podcast on Instagram, YouTube, Do What Podcast, or what you could do is send us a voice message. That'd be cool. Speakpipe.com/Dude What Podcast. Let us know what's your favourite anything. Genuinely interested to know. So I think, mate, we should pretty much wrap it there. I'd say I've had a great time doing this chat, and I'm totally just running out of things to say at this point.
I had a good time as well, and
All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening. You can catch us next week, Tuesdays, Fridays, and Fridays for the live stream. Take it easy, everyone. Don't go slipping on the ice out there. It's cold. Put a scarf on. Don't go out with wet hair. See you later. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. You can visit our Instagram account at Dude What Podcast. That's DUDEWUT Podcast. And you can also email us at dudewhatpodcast@gmail.com. That's DUDEWUT Podcast@gmail.com. See you next time. Dude, what?